welcome to today's video. In the previous lessons, I explained to you what Linux is about, why computational physicists choose Linux, and how to successfully install the Linux operating system on your computer machine. In this lesson, I will be running you through several Linux commands from the basics to developers mode and to even writing shell scripts. So I would want you to lock in with your laptops with Linux operating system successfully installed and follow me on this ride. All right, so I'm really excited to share this with you guys. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open my Linux distribution. And remember the one we used, Ubuntu. Now we did this using WSL and the virtual machine. And believe me, they are the same thing. For this video, I'm going to be using the WSL installed Ubuntu, which is this. And I'm going to open it up and I'll maximize this. Now, I'm waiting for it to boot up and okay, yes, good. So now you can see that the name I used to initialize my Ubuntu, my system, Fumbi, is right here. All right, so the first command I would like to introduce you to is the command that tells you what directory you are currently working in. Now, the directory you are currently working in simply refers to the folder. The folder is what we know is what we know it as. But in Linux, we call them directories. And the command that tells you where you are working in is the pwd. The pwd tells you where you are. So pwd, and you click on enter, tells you that okay, yes, you are in the Fumbi directory in the home directory. The home directory here is the root directory. That's the root of your Linux terminal. So you are in the Fumbi directory in the home directory. Now let's look at something else. What can I, now I know where I am, but what can I do where I am? So the first thing you would want to consider before you even start thinking of what to do in your working directory is to list out the items or the files in your in the present working directory, or if there are any subfolders there. And to do that, you use the list command. The list command, and the list command is written as ls. Ls, click on ls, and voila, I have nothing. And that is because I have no file or no other subfolder within that directory. Now, let me introduce you to another directory, then we would see how this ls comes into play. Now, the directory I'm going to be the command rather I'll be introducing you to is called the change directory command, cd. Now, change directory command returns you back or takes you to any directory you want, any other folder within your terminal. It takes you there. Now, you do cd, and I would like to go a step backward. I want to go from Fumbi back to the home directory. And if I do that, cd dot dot, you see I'm in the home directory. If I do my pwd, you see that the output is home. There is no longer forward slash Fumbi there. Okay, let's see if I do it one more time where it takes me to. Can you see it took me somewhere else? And if I should list, okay, can you see? It listed out a whole bunch of now all these things are basically system files. Yes, these are system files, but the reason why home is your root directory is because that is where the files that you can work with are. All these ones that you see here, boot, etc, they are all, or tmp, they are all system files. So I would like to go back, so I can't work here. I would want to go back to my home directory. And to go back to my home directory, I will say cd, and guess what? Will I use this again? No. But rather, I would now specify the directory I would like to go to. So I could say cd home. I want to go to the home directory. So cd home takes me to the home directory. You click on enter and it takes you to the home directory. If you click on pwd, you see that you are back in the home directory. Okay. So I would like to move on to making a new directory. So let's create another directory. How can we create new directories? We can create new directories by using the make directory command, and I'll say make directory new directory. Or let me just call it something else. Linux lens, Linux, or let me just call it Linux commands. Yes, I think that's much better. Linux command. And now notice what happens here. Now make directory. It cannot create directory Linux commands permission denied. Now this is because we are trying to create a directory inside of this home directory. But now watch what happens when I let me list what is in the home directory. We have Fumbi in the home directory. Now let me move to, I would explain why this error um, came to be, and let me just move on to Fumbi directory. Okay. Now I would run the same code, make directory Linux commands, and voila, I did not get the error, but instead it was successful. And how do I know it was successful? Because when I click on ls, when I use the list command, you see a new directory has been created, the Linux commands directory. Now the reason why this did not work was because I was trying to create a folder in the home directory. And remember that the home directory is the root directory, is like an administrative um, directory. Yes, like an administrative directory. And so it will require admin privileges to create a file within that folder. So I can only create subfolders inside the Fumi directory. Remember that when we created our Linux, when we installed our Linux terminal, we named our user as this. This could be different in your, it could be your name, it could be the name of your favorite thing that you used. So this was what you set as the user for your Linux terminal. So this is the folder you should be working in. This where the cursor is the folder. The folder that is in the home directory is where you should be working in. So now I've been able to make a new directory in my user folder. So I can also decide to remove this directory. That means to delete the directory. I could say rmdir. That's another command I'm introducing you to. And I will say Linux commands. And yes, it goes. If I click on ls, we see it's empty once again. All right. So let's move on to another command, and that command is called touch, touch, touch. Now what does touch do? Touch allows you to create a new file. Now remember, make directory allows you to create a new directory or a new folder. Touch allows you to create a new file. Folders are like bags that you keep your books in. Your books are your files. So you put your books in your bag. So you put your files in your folder or in your directory. And to create a file, you use touch. And you say touch, and let's say you want to name the file. Let me make it a text file. So I'll just say commands.txt. And that's it. How do I know it's done again? Because when I click on ls, I get commands.txt as I created. Now, you would notice something peculiar about this. When I made a directory, Linux commands, and I listed it gave me an output that was colored. Linux commands was colored. But then I repeated the same thing by creating a file and then listing it, but it gives me the usual bland color that I type in. Now, the reason is because the Linux terminal highlights a folder just to differentiate folders from files. It's makes it colored. The color could be different in your on your machine. If you're using a virtual machine, you don't expect it to be this color actually. The color is going to be much different from this. Okay, so and you could also go to the settings to customize this as you want. You would also see the same thing in this place. You'll see different colors and all. So now we've created a new file. We've created a new directory. We've also created a new file. So the next thing I want to teach is the cp command. Cp. Now, you guessed right. Cp means copy. Yes, copy. Now, you want to copy a file or a folder. If I say folder, it means directory. If I say directory, it means folder. Now, you want to copy a file. You use cp, then the file's name. Now, most times you don't need to always type things complete on your Linux terminal. You could just press your tab key on your keyboard to complete. So when you press maybe com and you click on tab, it auto completes it. So I want to copy the commands text to maybe another file, and let me just call it um, copy copy.txt. Now it's done. Now when I use the list command ls, you see I have two of it: commands text and copy text. All right. So the next thing I want to um, introduce you to is called the MV. Yes, MV stands for move. You are guessing these things right. Now the move command allows you to move a file from a folder to another folder, or the mv command allows you to rename a folder. Let's try out renaming a folder. So if I want to rename this folder, I want to rename copy.txt. I could say mv copy.txt, and I would rename it to cc copy.txt, or let me just rename it to my copy.txt. Now I click on enter, and when I run the command list, I see that it has changed my copy.txt to my copy.txt. Now, how about us trying to make it um, move the entire file to another folder? So since I don't have any other folder here, I think I removed the make directory Linux command already. I removed it with the rmdir command. Now to move this file, I'll just move it to the home directory. So I'll say mv my copy.txt, and I'll move it. Now remember, I'm going a step back. Where am I? Where was the last time I did this? Okay, I'm in the Fumbi directory, so I want to move a step back. So I'll just use dot dot. And okay, now you can see again, it gives me that same error that I cannot actually do this. Permission denied. Now, there is a way to bypass this, but I will be showing you that when I get to the particular command. So I can't copy, I can't move, neither can I copy this file to the home directory. So I'll just make the directory again using mkdir Linux commands. Linux commands. Okay, so I would like to list so you can see the difference between the Linux commands folder and other files. So I'll say mv my copy.txt, and I'll be moving it to Linux commands. Now I do not need to put the dot slash the dot dot because the Linux commands is within the Fumbi folder, and when I click this, it's done. When I click ls, you would see that there is no longer my copy.txt here. Oh, where did it go? Magically disappear? Well, no, it's in the Linux commands. Now, how do I get to the Linux commands? Cd, change directory. So I say cd, then I just click on Linux commands, and I'm in my Linux commands, then I list. And you see my copy.txt is right there in my Linux commands folder. Okay, so let's move back one step. How do we move back one step to a folder where we're coming from? You say cd dot dot, and I'm back to, if I say pwd, you say that I'm back to the fumbi directory. So I would ls once again just to see what I have. So now we've learned um, a whole bunch of commands. Now everything is getting so messy. It's getting too clogged up. Let me teach you another command. What command am I teaching you? How can I clear? I'm having too much things already on my screen. Very easy. Clear. And that's it. So when you use the clear command, it clears what you have on your screen. Does that mean it has disappeared? No, it did not. But everything you've done previously is saved. If you have created files before, it's still there, but you've just cleared the output. So if I click on ls, I still have my, it's not like I deleted it, they are still there. Now, mind you, when you delete things in Linux, they are gone forever. Linux does not have a recycle bin like Windows. So before you delete something, think about it carefully. Speaking of deleting, how do I delete things in Linux? So to delete a file in Linux, I use the rm command. The rm command stands for remove. So I want to remove commands.txt, and I click ls, and you see the commands.txt is no longer there. Now I want to remove a folder. I say rm hyphen r. Now because I'm using a folder, I use the hyphen r label for it, and I say Linux commands. And yes, it does remove it. Now if I use ls, you see no matter how many times I click ls, you see that there is nothing. The folder is now empty. Good. So that's how to use, and now I cannot recover them anymore because they are gone forever. There's no recycle bin, as I said. All right. So let me just create them once again. And even the file that was inside the Linux command that we copied earlier is no longer available to us. So let me create the Linux commands folder again, Linux commands, and let me create the command text. So I'll say touch commands.txt. Okay, so when I click ls, now they are back again with me. So the next thing I would want to um, introduce you to is the next command is called nano. Nano. Now, nano is a user friendly command. You see, the nano is actually a text editor that allows you to write a file, that allows you to write to a file. So now I created this file using touch, but touch just creates the file. But how can I actually put something inside a file? Well, there are two commands you can use, nano and vim. But nano is actually very, very user friendly and beginner friendly. But then vim is for the developers. Vim is more sophisticated. When you use vim, you have more power to do a whole bunch of things. I'm going to be showing you how to use the two commands, but let's start with nano. So I'll say nano commands.txt. Now you see, I have it open here. I have my text editor. I can type in. All right. So let me type in something. So this is my first Linux commands lesson. I am learning a lot. All right, so I have basically created something in this file. Okay, before I do this, I would like to, okay, let's continue with this. I'm going to show you this in another using another command. Now look at this. To I've created this, but how then does it make sense? How then do I use it? Well, to save, you use Control O to save. When you click on Control O on your laptop, it tells you, okay, file name to write. That means I want to write what is here to this file. So I click on enter, and yes, automatically it's saved. Now to exit this, I say Control X. You use Control X to exit, and that's it. You've created your first file. If you click on nano commands again, nano commands, it's there. This is my first Linux commands lesson. I am learning a lot. I Control X, I leave. Remember, Control O is to save. Okay, I would like to create a new file. I want to get something into perspective here. So how do I create new files? I say touch. Okay, and I'll say this is actually copy.txt. Okay, now when I do this, I want to remember ls tells me um, it lists out all the files in my folder. But is that really the case? Well, that's not entirely true. ls actually lists out visible files. There are actually hidden files in your Linux terminal, and these hidden files are like cache that are used to run processes, other system files that are also used to make your work easier, or temporary files. So if I click ls and I use this command here, a-a, it tells it to list all, both hidden and unhidden, list it all. So you see, it gives me bash history. Yes, it stores the history, your history. Also, it stores it. It gives you your cache, it gives you osh login, it gives you a lot. Then these are the files. Can you see this? The Linux command, the command txt, and the copy txt. So this is how you can use ls-a. You could also then, one thing else, one other thing I want to show is that, remember that I had written some text in this command.txt. But if you look at copy.txt, let me bring it into perspective here. Command.txt. Can you see this is my first Linux command lesson? I'm learning a lot. Now compare it with copy copy.txt. Copy.txt is empty. Now, I want to show you something now. If I click ls-l, and it should come as no surprise to you, ls-l. L means list everything out, um, well, as a list, not like this, as a vertical list, but then it does add something else to it. So if I do this, it gives me all of this. Now, DWRX, this is telling me that this is actually a folder, and notice something. 4096620. Now, this is actually telling us the size of this of each of these. This is the size of the folder. This is the size of the text. And because copy.txt has no input text in it, it is basically 0 kilobytes. But commands.txt has about 62 kilobytes, and it also tells me the day and the time they were created. Can you see the timestamps? It gives me the timestamps of each of it. Do you see that? So that is another where you can use your list command. Now, the next command I will be showing you is called cat. Yes, cat. Cat. Yes, basically cat. Now, okay, I'm going to be coming back to. Okay, before we look at cat, let's look at vim. I spoke of nano and vim. I've used nano up here, so let's look at vim. Now, I'll be using copy.txt to explain Vim. Now, when you say Vim copy.txt, you click on enter. Well, Vim is also another text editor, but it is much more complex, and I won't lie, it takes a very long time to learn. You must be dedicated to studying how to use Vim. Yes, that's facts. Now, currently, I can't do anything on Vim. I am typing on my keyboard. Okay, I mistakenly typed something I actually needed to. Okay, okay, let me just try this again without avoid. Oh, I could not still avoid it. Okay, now to because when you click on Vim, there's nothing happens. But then to actually get into Vim, you use the insert mode. To get text into Vim, use insert mode. And how do you get to insert mode? Currently, we are in the normal mode. So to get to insert mode, you click on I. Now you can see. Okay, let me click on escape. Now focus on this place. There is nothing here. But when I click on I on my keyboard, you can see it comes up with this insert. Now insert tells me that okay, yes, good. You can begin to type. So I begin to type. This is my earlier while I was typing, while I was randomly clicking on my keyboard, I clicked on I and sometimes V. V takes you to the visual mode. There are three modes in um, Vim. We have the normal mode, the insert mode, and the visual mode. So this is my Linux command. This is my first Linux commands lesson. I am really excited. Okay, good. So now I have done this. But then how do I save? How do I save? Now, to save, you exit insert mode by clicking on escape on your computer. Then you use colon, watch here, just watch here. Can you see that it's no longer typing here? Even though the cursor seems to have hung here, but you see that it's no longer typing there. So you watch here, and where my cursor is now, then you click. Can you see that the cursor has moved? So you use colon to save, you use colon W. You click enter. Saved. Okay, it said written. Yes. Yeah, it has written it to it. So you've saved it. And how do you then leave Vim? Because Vim is looking like it does not want to leave us anymore. So to exit Vim, you say colon Q. And we're out. Now, there is something I would like to quickly show you on Nano. So I'll just say Nano. Now, because I use Vim to open copy.txt, does not mean I cannot use Nano to open it. So I can just say copy.txt. Okay, I think that would return. So copy.txt. Can you see that Nano is actually more um, um, the visuals of Nano is simpler compared to um, Vim. Now, what I want to show is how can you get help on how to use Nano. To get help on using Nano, you use Control G, and Control G will open up the shortcuts or the tools you need to use Nano. So Control G displays this help text. It already tells you. Now note that this at here means control. I think it was mentioned, it should be mentioned here. Yeah, the control key. Okay, yes. Control key sequence are notated with a at with this caret here and can be entered by using the control key. All right. Okay. Now, please always use the control key. The control key is is much more frequently used. And then there is this other command m hyphen. M hyphen refers to alt, alt, the alt key on your computer keyboard. So Control X to close current or to exit from Nano, Control O to save or to write, Control R to insert another file into. So you get it, you get the gist. Now to exit, what does it tell me? It tells me to do Control X. So I'll just click on Control X and I'm out of the help, and I can click on Control X to also exit. Now, how about for Vim? So Vim copy.txt. How do I get help in Vim? Now, to get help in Vim, you must be in normal mode, not insert nor visual mode. Then you click on colon and you say help. Now, the as complex as Vim is, the help is also complex. When I click on enter, voila, look at what we have. So it tells you that if you want to move around, you use K to go up. I'm clicking on K. Okay. You use J to go down. You use J to go down. Okay. So K to go up. You use L to go left, and you use H to go. Sorry, you use L to go right, and use H to go left. All right. So, but then I'm not going to be using that. I'm still going to be using my usual arrow keys, my usual up, down, left, right arrow keys to do this. So you can see a whole bunch of a whole bunch of sections on how to use um, Vim. So I'll just exit. Okay, I'll click on escape. Okay, so Control Z there took me out of there. So now then we are going to look at another um, command, and this command is called. Now we've gone through how to create a file using Touch, text editors like Nano and Vim. Then we would like to, now text editors will let you write. It will give you um, writing privileges. But then there is another text program that does not let you write, but it lets you view. It lets you only read a file. And there are two commonly used ones, and they are cat and less. Cat and less. Now, cat, when you use cat, it opens up the file that you have. Now remember, these are for files, not for folders. It opens up the file that you have and lets you see what's going on there. So I say cat and okay, let's see what's going on in copy.txt. And can you see it prints it out? This okay, let me clear and do it once again. So I use the clear button, the clear command, and I say cat copy.txt. Okay, so it says it outputs what is in the file to me, and what is in the file is this is my first Linux commands lesson. I am really excited. I could also say cat commands txt, and it does the same. This is my first Linux commands lesson. I am learning a lot. Now, how about less? Well, the only difference between cat and less is um, presentation. Less presents the same thing in a much better form, and the difference actually comes in best when you are dealing with text files with several lots of pages. And how do we use less? We say less. Yes, less copy dot txt. Now you may not really see the difference currently now, but it's but you will notice that less actually opens up um another terminal, or rather no, not another terminal, but like a page for you. So now this on this page you have, this is my first Linux terminal, and I'm really excited. In real life scenarios where you have very large files that you want to view, it's what cat will do is cat will just bring out everything as a whole long line of text. But what less will do is it will section them into pages. I can't do that now since I don't have a very large file to test it out with, but it's going to section them to pages so that you can just go, okay, page one, page two, page three, and the likes. So that is the main difference between cat and less. Whichever one you use gets the job done. But for presentation sake, you can go for whichever you feel presents it better for you. So I exit using Q. So the next um, command I'll be going through is called sudo. Yeah, sudo. Now, what is sudo? You see, one thing about this is that many of these things actually have their full meaning. Like sudo stands for super user do. Now, in Windows, when you hear super user, you think, oh, something new, something fantastic. But then, super user in Linux is basically the same thing as administrator on your Windows. So when you run something as an administrator, you are connecting directly to the root of your computer, and you are telling me that, okay, yes, I know what I'm doing and I want to make these changes. You would have observed this maybe when you want to install a new software and you see this Windows pop up and tells you, okay, are you sure you want to do this? Yes or no? And that kind of thing. So that's the same thing with sudo in Linux here. Sudo gives you privileges. It gives you root privileges, and it allows you to install new softwares. It even allows you to remove softwares, and it allows you to make changes to system files also. But please be careful when you are using sudo, because you could actually crash your Linux terminal with wrong usage of sudo. So how do I use sudo? I can use sudo to install, and I can say sudo apt, okay, apt get. Now apt get is actually another, oh sorry, pasted something. Apt get is actually another type of command, and it's called a package manager command. So the apt is like a command that allows you to install softwares. Yes, like that's where the softwares are stored. So apt get install, and let me say I want to install. I think I can use this means to just show you how to then install Quantum Espresso. So you can just say, oh, would that take time? So sudo apt install Quantum Espresso. So I'm trying to install the Quantum Espresso software. Now, mind you, you must be connected to the internet to do this. So sudo apt get install Quantum Espresso. So it will ask you for the password you created. Can I? All right. So I put in the password. Okay, can you see? And now it's installing. So it's saying reading package. Okay, unable to locate package Quantum Espresso. Okay, yes. Now the problem here is the reason why it's doing this is because you need to first update sudo. So it says sudo apt. So the first time you install Quantum Espresso, you must update your sudo. Updates. You must update your sudo. Okay. So it updates. So once it updates, it's you can then so yeah, it's done. It's upgraded already. So I would go back to the sudo apt install Quantum Espresso. Oh, it's still giving the same error. Okay, sorry, I omitted an hyphen. It's quantum hyphen espresso. So it's asking me, do I want to continue? Yes. So can you see? It's saying after this operation, 405 megabytes of additional disk space will be used. So yes, I've killed another bird with this stone. I've basically taught you how to install quantum espresso. Very easy. So now quantum espresso is being installed, and after this lesson, we may not have to install it anymore. So let's just wait. And voila, Quantum Espresso is installed. So then we've used sudo. I've shown how to use sudo to install softwares. So we can do the same thing by installing other softwares like Xquisdin. I would leave this to you as an exercise. You're going to install these softwares, new plots. So you use the sudo to install. Remember, you don't have to do the updates anymore since you've done it once. That's all. But then you just use the method I taught you now to install Quantum Espresso to install these same things. No plots, Xquisdin, And let me see one more thing you may need. Yeah, just for fun, Python. So you would install these three things. Okay, so let me just clear this up now. And all right, so we have Quantum Espresso installed. So now let's move on to another command. The command I will be showing you now is dfh. Now dfh shows you the usage, the disk usage of your system. So it tells you how much memory has been allocated to your system. All right. So another thing it can do is that you could also do du dush. So let me say for Linux commands. So this tells you how much memory also a particular folder has. So this tells me that the Linux command takes 4 kilobytes, has taken up 4 kilobytes of space. All right. So yes, with these few commands I've introduced you to, you are ready to go into the world of the Linux terminal to conquer and to command away. So welcome to the Linux terminal once again, and we can then move into working properly with Quantum Espresso. Thank you for watching. Please leave your questions in the comment section. And if there is any part of this command that you've heard me talk about that you want me to elaborate more on, let me also know down in the comment section to make a video on it for better explanation. For example, possibly your issue is with Vim. I'll be glad to go in depth to explain it all to you. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Thank you very much. Proton Academy signs out.